Speaking of Constitution Hill, the one threat to his crown is in Ireland, trained by Willie Mullins, and she's not going to run. Lossiemouth was absolutely, visually very, very impressive. Willie's going to win the Mare's Hurdle anyway with one of Gala Marceau or Ashroe Diamond, who was really good at Doncaster. Just runner in the champion hurdle. You've got a horse who can do it. It's the champion hurdle. But no, she's going to go for the Mare's, George Gorman.
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? But unfortunately, it's how the schedule is laid out for them. They shouldn't have the choice. They should be forced to run. You should either have a Grade 2 Mare's Hurdle or even turn the Mare's Hurdle into a handicap. I think would be quite fun. But
or a restriction on the rating.
It's painful, isn't it? Yeah.
This is an obsession amongst the people who run British racing. Probably attending Royal Ascot, swishing around in Champagne, enjoying 5 days of racing and thinking, you know what? Cheltenham's bigger than Royal Ascot. We could have a 5-day Cheltenham festival. Could you imagine a 5-day Cheltenham festival? Jesus Christ, it'd be 10-to-1 on shots, 2 runner fields, total lack of competition. There used to be a time you were excited about the big clashes at Cheltenham. Moscow Flyer versus Azertiup versus Well Chief. Classified versus Barracuda. Who's going to come and take on Istabrac? Beef or Salmon versus War of Attrition in the Gold Cup. What's the big clash at Cheltenham this year? We're all excited for it. We can't wait. Name me the big clash at Cheltenham 2024. Exactly. You can't do it.
It was El Fabiola v John One.
Yeah. And
it might still be that as well.
Most people have picked a side of that. Yeah, let's say Be Envoi Lane and yeah. The names escape me for a second. But the
Stage Star?
Joseph O'Brien.
Oh, Banbridge, yeah.
Banbridge, yeah.
He won't run if it's soft ground.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's not quite Cato Star Denman, is it? Jade DeGruzzi, Dysart, Enos. Again.
And Brighter Days Ahead, maybe.
Hardly Arkle Flying Bolt. I know we never got that on the race course, but there's some great stories about it happening at home. Yeah, it's just getting painful. Is this horse good enough to take on Constitution Hill? I think it should be good enough to give him a scare. But we're not going to see it this year, and I'm not sure we'll ever see it, to be honest, even if they say next year.
Sure, they'll just do a Cuvée on it.
Yeah.
Why would you go for a champion hurdle if you can win the Mares every year?
They tried it once with Annie Power.
She was only substituting for Faugheen.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
By the way, have they not learned their lesson? Vroom Vroom Mag, Benny Didier, Annie Power, all beaten in the Mares Hurdle, all at short prices. Is she even going to stay 2 mile 4? I know the stamina on her page, but Paul Townend takes a pull coming to the final hurdle. He took a pull. Come on.
I think that's part of it. That's where they're having these short price horses beaten, is they're forcing them.
Shut up, George. Katie's trying to talk. Stop being so rude.
Sorry.
I actually disagree. I think she's right to go for the Mares this year.
George, cut Katie off there. Cut her off immediately. She's lost her mind. Go on, make your case.
The transition year from juveniles to open company it's a big ask, and it catches a lot of horses out. We've seen a lot of horses in the past who have looked the real deal winning the Triumph Hurdle. They can step up out into open company the next year and they do nothing.
Yeah.
And then the season after, then they start finding themselves again. I think they're doing the right thing with this mare, going the Mare's Hurdle route. They could ruin her, putting her in the Champion Hurdle this season. If they went through the Mare's Hurdle this year, she'd have an easier season. It's going to be a tough season anyway, and then go on to Champion Hurdle next year. They could set this mare up for the future, but I think if they stuck her in the Champion Hurdle this year, in a year where she could be a little bit vulnerable, I think they could just ruin her. And I don't think connections are. I don't think they're even going to shy away from the Champion Hurdle next year. I think if this year goes to plan and she runs as well as they expect her to, I think they'll be up for going the Champion Hurdle route for the next year. But I think they're dead right in just minding her this year. And I know Willie, he did something similar with Vauban last year. He was very mindful of this transition year and what it can do to horses. I think that's the big point to make with her, is I think they're just minding her this year with an eye on her future going forward, and I think they're dead right to do it.
I take your point. The counter would be Vauban went on and bolted up at Royal Ascot and then won a group race in Ireland, and he was being sent off at ridiculously short price for the Melbourne Cup, which
that was the same year.
Because he was minded, it would be Katie's point.
But Binocular came out of having finished third in the Champion Hurdle as a 5-year-old and then won one.
Horses that struggle their 4-5-year-old season, they don't normally come out and win a Grade 2 in open company by 9.5 lengths first time. And this is a 5-year-old, not a 4-year-old. They've left her till now on purpose to mind her. She's at a race course now. She's delivering on the biggest stage. Is there much of a leap going? Like, it's obviously a step up going from this into a Champion Hurdle, but either way, it's a Grade 1 at Cheltenham. Would she not be better off running over the trip that's going to suit more rather than potentially dragging the guts out of her over 2.5, like when she might not stay? I think she looks fairly unlikely to stay.
Now that's very interesting. But I would also just say, Kitty, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, look, this is what they're going to do, right? It's academic what George and I are saying. I think this is the only horse who could beat Constitution Hill.
Yeah,
this whole copium about State Man getting closer. I'm rooting for State Man. I hope he beats Constitution Hill, because this is a joke. Like, the campaigning of Constitution Hill is an embarrassment this season. The Dublin Racing Festival will come and go. I'm almost fed up talking about him, to be honest. He hasn't run at the weekend. He's not running this weekend. To be fair, if he had run in that Unibet trial, Lossiemouth wouldn't have turned up. I don't blame Willie Mullins or Rich Ritchie or Joe Chambers for this, because if Joe Chambers was on this show right now, I'd probably melt and go, you know what, you're right. Go for the race that you have the best chance of winning. And the odds compilers are going odds on about it for the Mare's Hurdle and 10-1 for the Champion. But realistically, what are you doing? You've got a chance of winning the Champion Hurdle, and you're not going to go for it. Why? And he's coming in on the back of just one run. Like, he might be vulnerable. If you're ever going to beat him, this might be the year you could do it.
When I watched her, I thought she has the potential to beat Constitution Hill this year. Like, I thought she blew me away, and I just thought she was unreal. And I'm not saying that she can't win a Champion Hurdle this year. I think she could, but I just feel as though they're just trying to look after her with her future in mind.
Oh, you are right.
And
yeah,
like, if you look through the form, like, Constitution Hill beat the second and third here by 10 lengths. Lossiemouth had them 10 and 20 lengths behind her. Like, that puts her right in the picture for that race. And I say they know how good she is, but I just think they want to make sure they get every ounce out of this mare and just not ruin her.
I tell you, I know what the frustration is she was entered in that race at Doncaster as well. And if she'd gone there and won by 20 lengths, we'd just be going, well, they kept her against her own sex. She's going to be against her own sex at Cheltenham. The frustration is they've dropped her in an open company here and she's dominated, and then she's going back to Mare's company. I think that's the frustration for all of us. But I understand why she's come here, because he had the other 2 horses for Doncaster. But they've sort of let the genie out the bottle, and now they're going to try and stuff it back in. And you're just like, don't want to have to wait another year to see that. Any of us really? It'd be wonderful for the owner, the owner and the trainer and everyone. But yeah, her winning by 20 lengths in a Mare's Hurdle wouldn't really do it for me. I say I'm not sure she will. I think she's being shoehorned into a race that might not suit.
Did Imperial Pass have a setback?
Don't think so.
No.
So how do Isaac Swade and Simon Munir feel? Because they've kept their horse hurdles this season to hopefully win a race in open company. Well, there's the race they could have won, and they're actually going for a Champion Hurdle. Instead, he's going to be second to State Man again, unless he produces some miraculous improvement.
This is his chance for a winner.
Yeah. So they could have actually won an open company race and then say, and we're going to take on Constitution Hill, and we're going to give it a right good rattle.
But she could have gone to Doncaster, and Ashroe Diamond or Gala Marceau could have gone to the DRF instead.
Yeah.
And everyone could have won a race.
Oprah, you get a win, you get a win, you get a win. But instead, she wins a Champion Hurdle trial on Trials Day, and we're being told, we're going to go for the Mare's Hurdle now. And George, you've said you don't think she's guaranteed to stay.
No, I don't think. For a horse, fairly unusual for us to show that level of speed. Because I mean, she is very quick. Like, I certainly, if the Mare's Hurdle didn't exist, you wouldn't even be thinking of running over 2.5, would you? Like,
no.
I don't think she's guaranteed. I don't think. I'm not saying that she definitely won't, but I would be sceptical. I certainly wouldn't be. What price is she? I wouldn't be taking 4 to 5.
8 to 13.
I've got 4 to 5 best price here anyway. I wouldn't be taking that in a Mare's Hurdle. A horse that's that quick, you just don't know who's going to stay. She might be too good for it to matter. She might not stay and win anyway. She might be that far clear. But,
possibly. Is it the case that we have all these high-class mares in training just because of these races? Or would we have had these horses in training anyway because there's increased competition for high-class horses? I genuinely don't know which is the truthful answer there. There's plenty of people, Sam Hoskins was arguing, you only have these high-class mares because of those races. There would be other people, I think Kevin Blakey was saying, was making the counter-argument that that's not actually true.
Seven handicaps in the last 4 Cheltenham festivals have been won by mares, which sort of suggests they're being pushed into handicaps because the level of the mares races is so high.
I think if Lossiemouth wasn't a juvenile last season, I think they would run her in the Champion Hurdle this year. I honestly think if you look down the Triumph Hurdle past winners, there's only one horse, Deputy Soy, who did anything in the following season. Tiger Owl blew out the following year of his Triumph Hurdle.
Yeah.
Like, he did nothing. Peace and Co, nothing.
Oh.
Ivanovic, Gorbachev, nothing. Farclas, nothing. He only got going again back in handicap chasing. He only kind of got back into it the year after when he went chasing on the handicap route. Pentland Hills, Burning Victory, didn't do much. Quilixios had a bad enough season, didn't do much the year after.
The best one would be Apple Shade, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And she didn't win the Triumph Hurdle.
A lot of them that don't either run in the Triumph Hurdle or finish down the field go on to do better things. I think Connection's a little bit mindful of the kind of past winners and where they've actually, what's happened to them in the season after. I think they're just a little bit mindful about that. I honestly think if she was just coming off the back of a maiden year, taking the juvenile out, I actually think they would go for the Champion Hurdle route, but I just think they're just so content on trying to, that this transition year can be really difficult for horses and it can ruin their future careers. That's the only reason I honestly think that's why they're minding her this year, with that in mind.
Do you think she'll win the Mare's Hurdle? Do you think she'll win the Mare's Hurdle, Katie?
Yeah, I think she will, yeah.
Okay.
The point would be that none of those horses came out and did what she did at the weekend. She's already outperformed all of those horses. So it's hard to say that she's going to struggle this year when we've just seen her win by 9.5 lengths in open company. I get what you're saying totally. It's the effect of a long season of multiple Brett ones. I understand totally what you're saying. But I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not.
Yeah, I know. But I just think they just mind. I think just
when you've seen that performance, what we've seen at the weekend. None of those horses that you've mentioned came out and did that the following season. I said the only one I can think of off the top of my head is that Goshen obviously should have won a Triumph. I think he came out to win the Elite the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, he had quite a bad season.
Yeah.
It took him a while to get to that. Whereas this horse has come out and done bang straight away. There you go. What is it? They say you need £30 of improvement. Triumph juvenile into open company. There's your £30, but we're not going to use it.
Imagine a scenario where Constitution Hill wins the Champion Hurdle, but he's very unimpressive and he wins it by like a length. Now you're Rich Richie.
Pull down to last on this in the mares.
Yeah, but if you're Rich Richie, are you not feeling like you felt the day Vautour bolted up in the Ryanair chase? And I understand there were mitigating circumstances. You were being told over and over again, he's not working well, Rich. He won't even win the Ryanair. We're just going to give it a go. But you were going for the Gold Cup. And there was no point in saying, oh, well, we'll do it next year, because unfortunately, you didn't get that opportunity. You have the opportunity to do this now. You've just bolted up in a Champion Hurdle trial. Imagine a scenario where Stateman gets within a half a length or a length of Constitution Hill. You'd get the weight allowance. How do you feel? How do you do you feel on top of the world being handed with Susanna the Mare's Hurdle trophy, or how do you feel if you're the one who beat Constitution Hill?
Yeah, it's a fair point. Like,
The flip side to it is it's more than likely Constitution Hill just steamrolls over this field anyway, because we're all desperate trying to find something that can beat him.
I do think she could, though.
I think she can. I think she'll beat him. I'm being deadly serious. I don't think this is a case of that she's going to be a competitor against him. I think she'll beat him. That's what they want to do. They want to go for the Mare's Hurdle. They're going to go for it unless Bob Ollinger comes out and smashes them up in the Irish Champion Hurdle, and then they've got to have a rethink.
Just to put it into context, if she would beat Constitution Hill, we're talking Constitution Hill's 175. She gets £7 mare's allowance, so she has to run to about 168 to beat him. She's beaten Love Envoi, who's rated 151 by all but 10 lengths at the weekend. Could she have beaten him? Could she have beaten her 20? Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Which is putting her at basically like a 170.
Jesus.
She only needs to run to 168 in theory to beat him. She's bang there already.
Yeah.
And I know only
step forward. She's there.
The visual impression is there. The maths are there. Lads, do us all a favor. Just put her in the race.
It'd be great.
Put her in.
Run her again between now and Cheltenham, just to show Nikki. Run her again between now and Cheltenham. Run her 4 times after.
Well, as Katie was saying before we began, what an incredible performance from Willie Mullins. Lossiemouth on an away day. How did he do it? It's amazing, that, isn't it? You can go to another country and win a race on a trials day. Wow.
On your first run of the season.
They probably should think about the future isn't always guaranteed with horses.
How did you feel when Vautour won the Ryanair Chase? How would you feel if State Man gets within a length of Constitution Hill? You'd be sick.
Love to have horses that good. You could be standing in there after a Ryanair going, damn. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Yours just won the Ryanair and you go, damn, I wish I could have run it. I wish I'd run it in the Gold Cup.
How does it feel? You've won the Ryanair Chase. Bollocks. Right, just briefly on Love Envoi, can she step forward from last year's run against Honeysuckle? Is she now coming back to herself, George?
It's better than I expected, but I think Rubo's massively underperformed rather than Love Envoi's massively overperformed. She's going to be at her best over 2 mile 4 on soft ground. It's just good to see her travel a lot sweeter than she did the last day, particularly given the conditions. Like, I think 2 mile 4 on soft or heavy grounds will probably see her at her best. And given that, in a race of this nature, with Rubo setting a decent gallop, she's travelled pretty sweetly, to be honest. Like, I think she showed a lot of zip. Again, the only thing that's going to get her anywhere near Lossiemouth at Cheltenham is probably a bog. Like that.
Agreed.
I'd almost back her on a bog because I think, like I said, Lossiemouth might have too much speed to go and win a mare's. Maybe that's our answer. Maybe that's our answer to the whole thing. Maybe if it chucks it down, they have to run her in the Champion Hurdle.
Yeah,
could happen.
Can we all start doing a rain dance? Can each and every single person watching this now start doing a rain dance?
I'm just thinking, I'm not sure I can see Willie running her in a heavy ground mare's race. Like, I know we're talking absolutely nuts sort of land now, but if it was heavy for the mare's race, would he run her?
No. But
would he put her in the Champion Hurdle instead? Or would he miss the Cheltenham altogether?
Oh, no, this is ridiculous. No. They're racehorses.
I think it's 50-50. If it's heavy, week of Cheltenham, problem is it drains so quickly there. He'd probably wait for the Mare's Hurdle, and then if it's heavy, he'd probably miss Cheltenham. If you could... Oh, no, the same day, aren't they? Same day. I'm getting mixed up with the Mare's Novice. Oh, no, yeah, same day. We could, yeah. Could happen.
Just put her in the Champion Hurdle. It makes sense. Willie Mullins is going to win the Mare's Hurdle anyway. As much as I like Love Envoi, if she's able to bounce back, because Ashroe Diamond has come out under Patrick, won the SBK Yorkshire Rose Mare's Hurdle Grade 2. It's a 3rd win in the race for Willie Mullins after Annie Power and Vroom Vroom Mag. Gala Marceau, just a little bit free, and probably the race wasn't really run to suit her style. But what did you make of Ashroe Diamond and Gala Marceau for that matter, George?
Yeah, no, so like you said, I can see Gala Marceau turning it around next time. Like, she was very gassy early. Like I said, they didn't go very quick. I can see her, especially her form with Lossiemouth looks really good now, doesn't it? And they all improve at different rates, and you're talking young horses. But of the two of them, I've got to say, I was more of the opinion before the weekend that Gala Marceau was more likely to train on the Lossiemouth. So I've either got that one very badly wrong, or it's going to take a little longer for me to be proven right. Who knows? But
you've been proven massively wrong there, son.
Yeah, I was very taken with Under Control in second. Stayed on well. Potentially one for the handicaps at Cheltenham if they're not awful with her. I could see her running well in maybe a Coral Cup, maybe a county. I don't know. But I think she's one to keep on side. I think that's probably Ashroe Diamond's day for the year. I can't see her winning the Mare's Hurdle up in Trip. I can't see Gala Marceau not reversing with her. I just think she's going to be a long way from the top of the pecking order in terms of Mullins' mares. He'll find something for her, but I wouldn't be interested in her for Cheltenham.
It would be interested in both. Ashroe Diamond's never been beaten by a mare over hurdles, to be fair to her. And I think Gala Marceau will step up from that, but she'd need to. She's a lovely horse. And if she's able to front run again and not taken on for the lead, she'd be really interesting. The thing is, I don't think that's going to plan out for her too well. Eddie, anything to add?
I just thought Ashroe Diamond, I thought it was a big step up again from her seasonal debut. Added a bit of form boost for Teahupoo. I think it's about the only line of form there that's kind of coming out that race. Imperial Pass hasn't won yet. But no, I think it was a nice performance overall. As you said, Gala Marceau, she just pulled a little bit too hard. She might benefit from the run under her belt, like a lot of Woolies are. I thought Under Control actually ran a really lovely race in second. I think she had a wind surgery, did she? She had a below par performance. And I thought it was actually a really nice race she ran. She ran right straight through the line as well. Yeah, she's rated at 137. She could be nicely handicapped there going forward. I'm not sure what will be under the radar, but even if it isn't Cheltenham, I think she could be back on the right tracks with her anyway. But three nice mares going forward. I don't think there's necessarily a whole lot between them. Ashroe Diamond probably just had a little edge of a kind of prep run at the beginning of December, and probably put her right for this. And yeah, very nice run from all three mares here.
She was receiving £3 and got beat her 4.5 lengths. So certainly a run back off level weights would be very close. I would just shade it Gala Marceau.
Patrick Mullins has won on 3 of his last 4 rides and currently sits in 3rd in the Irish Jockeys Championship. 49 winners from only 105 rides. That's not really being talked about. He's having a phenomenal season, and he might very well... He's going to win at the Cheltenham Festival. He's going to win the Amateur Riders Race one way or the other. That's going to be... Unless Favre de Chambeau bounces back for Katie, which he might. He might win an Open Cup.
He tried his inner over the first couple as well. He backed out of it fairly quick.
That would have been a long flight home. I told you, don't go up my inner. Pointing. Oh, spectacular stuff. You were well, finished second to Marie's Rock. Marie's Rock would need a career best, I think, in the Mare's Hurdle, but it was good to see you back to winning ways, George.
Yeah, I can never get this mare right. I thought the first 2 runs of the season, I thought she looked as difficult as she's looked since like a sort of Jerry Fielden sort of year, like when she was pulling really hard. She's hung really badly in the finish the last twice, and then out of nowhere, suddenly, like James Bowen on board, she seems to sort of straighten up. But I wonder if that's to do with this being a bit less competitive than the water she has been in. I was very impressed by You Wear It Well, because I had her nailed as a 2-miler for most of last season. I was certain that she wouldn't get any further, and I was totally wrong. If anything, like I say, she was probably a little outpaced by Marie's Rock. Maybe going back to more forceful tactics on her, like we're used to seeing her making the running. Now that they know she stays 3 mile, they might go out, win a decent race somewhere by making the running over 3 miles. Certainly a lot to like about that. Tweed Skirt, obviously more known as a chaser nowadays, but a fair yardstick either way. Theatre to Glory's very disappointing now, isn't she? She's just seems to travel like the wrath of God and just blow up. But yeah, Marie's Rock, I just couldn't. After her first couple of runs this season, I can't unsee what she's done on the race course. She's gone there to win races and just hung them away. Sort of horse that I'm happy to take her on, and if she beats me, I just take my medicine. Is the way I sort of look at things with her now. But You Wear It Well certainly opens up a lot more avenues now that we know she stays 3 miles. So I'd be interested in her, even in a handicap, to be honest, off 140. She'd probably have half a chance in a handicap over 3 miles. Would give you more.
I think she's somewhat interesting for the Mare's Hurdle itself. Like that's Marie's Rock's first win since New Year's Day 2023. This race was saved from Ascot the previous weekend. You Wear It Well has had to carry 2 pounds more in this race than the race she was due to run in. She's only been beaten a length and a half. So that's pretty significant. Factor that in, and that You Wear It Well wins.
If you think she's going to win a Mare's Hurdle, maybe I'm just looking at it from sort of like someone who's more used to having handicappers. If you think she's got a great chance in a Mare's Hurdle, God, she'd win a handicap of 140, wouldn't she?
Absolutely. And speaking of handicaps, I think Under Control is really interesting for the Coral Cup. And they've won it with a mare before, so we'll see. We'll see. Emmet Mullins does things in reverse. Emmet Mullins doing Emmet Mullins things. Supposed to win a Cleeve Hurdle and then win a Grand National. Not win a Grand National and then win a Cleeve Hurdle. But it's Emmet Mullins, so the man's capable of remarkable things. The Cleeve Hurdle has been won by Ingoldsdriver, Big Bucks, who won it twice, Thistlecrack and Paisley Park, who all went on to win the Stayers Hurdle in the same season. Can Emmet Mullins, Noble Yeats do that exact thing, Katie Young?
He's a shrewd man. He's a shrewd man to produce a horse back to its best, and he's done that here. As many national winners before him, he kind of lost his way of form. And I think rerouting him back over hurdles this season has kind of seen him bounce back to his kind of best form. His age on his side. He was a young Grand National winner. I think he won it around 7 years of age. Whereas normally you're looking at about 8 or 9. So he was well ahead of himself. At that age, and I think he's right to go. Stay with him. It's wide open. He's not going to win a Gold Cup. But he could win a Stayers Hurdle. I know Tiapu is the best in this race on kind of form and ratings. If he gets his ground, he does win. But if it comes up good here, he is vulnerable. And I think Noble Yeats. He can act on good ground. We know he stays the trip. We know he likes that course. So we have nothing to worry about there. I think he could be a real big player here on the day. On both soft and good ground. I just wouldn't be surprised if you could upset Tiapu. I'm not saying he's the absolute definite, but this race is completely wide open. And he's put in a really good performance here. And we all know Emmet will probably find more improvement to come and have him in an even better position in March for the big day. So that is something to note as well. Like he's beaten the best of the British here, and the best of the Irish is Tiapu. So you're kind of putting him bang in there for this race. That's kind of my take on it.
I think he's got a huge chance. I think he's been slightly underestimated. And I'm a big Tiapu fan, as you both know. I really like Irish Point as well. I guess there's a chance he doesn't go. Although with the French superstar out, you'd imagine that they will roll the dice, but we'll see what they decide to do. It seems as though this is Tiapu's race. And Irish Point might line up, but this is really his race. Crambo was right there. I mean, Crambo's the only one of relevance that wasn't in that race. And he's powered up the hill, to be fair to him. George, what did you make of Noble Yeats getting the better of the old boy, much to Emma Lavelle's frustration?
It's just looking through my notes just then, pre the race, because I basically backed the two horses that were best off at the weights in a reverse forecast, which is the first two, luckily enough. But if you actually go through the weight adjusted ratings, Flip Botox has and Flight Deck over at the bottom. Botox has was the worst off the weights of all of them bar one. Flight Deck should have been above him. Champ should have been above him. Dash above him. Paisley Park, Noble. They're all in order. The only one. Strong leader was the worst off at the weights here, and his runner huge race, and doesn't have an entry for Cheltenham. I'd be supplementing him for the Stairs Hurdle now. Like, he was the worst off at the weights by a long way there. He had the same weight as Noble Yeats, and he's rated £5 inferior. If he can take another step forward from this, his second to Blue King Daru's looking pretty good now. I'd love to have this horse in the Stairs Hurdle. I'll tell you what, he'd go under the radar. It'd be a right price for it as well. He's one I'd actually be really interested in come the day, because that's a massive performance from him. I just wanted to get that in there. First time cheek pieces as well, which I presume is what's done the job. I was sick of the stairs and swapping for Blinkmans. Go for broke. Would be how I'd be thinking about it. Noble Yeats, best off at the weights. One by a pound, one by a head. From the horse. I think Champ. Dash and Paisley Park were levels behind him. Huge performance. Can he go and win another Grand National now? Probably not. Like we say, he tends to be the first time to catch him. Paisley Park will run his race again in March, won't he? Probably be behind a few more when the Irish horses turn up. Been saying it for ages. I think Irish Point wins it if he runs in it, but he won't. So he won't. And Teahupoo is ground dependent. I wouldn't be nailing my colours to the mast if I was Gordon. I'd be waiting till week off.
He won't though.
No.
They'll run him for that and leave Irish Point for Aintree.
Yeah,
I'll
just go if Teahupoo doesn't get his ground, save him for Aintree and hope it rains for April. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't understand when you've got a horse that's so ground dependent, nailing your colours to the mast so far out, and not running in between during the wettest part of the year. It seems strange. But we're not going to change their minds by talking about it here, are we? I just want to make sure that I mention the horse to take out that is strong leader by a long way, and potentially if the cheap needs to sharpen him up, he could take another step forward next time. He raced very wide, gave away a lot of ground, and he made a bad mistake early on as well. I could see him running a lot even better again the next time. So that's my take on that.
What about throwing Monkfish into the equation? Where would you have him?
I think he's very good, but I sort of put him in the voice in your camp of it's quite difficult. No, it's difficult to talk about in the same conversation as Noble Yeats, but it can be quite difficult for them when they're sort of used to chasing, coming back over hurdles. But I suppose he's not been chasing, has he really?
I think it's more mind back, getting him back from an injury, isn't it? More than anything with him.
Yeah.
Not so much as jumping as such.
I think his form, the Devil's Coachman is getting more disappointing by the week, isn't he? They said what's it? He had a small skin wound on his left pastern, which seems like an excuse.
Yeah.
If it doesn't need stitches, it probably didn't make a difference. Ashdale Bob's a fair yardstick though, and he's given him a right beating. So he goes in there amongst the best of them, doesn't he? Just if he actually can get their sound.
Yeah.
You know what the best thing about Monkfish winning at Gorham Park was? we can play this again.
Fish pond. What's it called? Fish cake. No.
Monkfish.
Monkfish.
My first time on the show, that's been played.
That's the only reason I wanted to do that. Don't we have a proper version of that though? That's like got a remix and all. What happened to that?
Oh, the one with the Peppa Pig and all that in it as well.
Oh, Ted versus Peppa Pig.
If you don't like racing, go watch Peppa Pig. I'm all for fellas like me who are...
That one. That'll get another play out again on the show. I think we're going to put a visual to that for the benefit of YouTube.